Good evening, Redbox family. What an exciting day that we had today. I can't believe that we finally were able to break out of what seems to be an endless amount of a falling knife downturn. But guys, we have done it, and the volume today was absolutely unbelievable. However, there's a lot of manipulation still going on, and something we really need to talk about because I am pissed. And wait till you see this. You guys are not going to believe what has been going on. I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again because it's absolutely 100% wrong, and it's not fair that we can't do certain things, but Wall Street can. So let's just get right into it. Nothing I say is financial advice. I do have a long position in Redbox that I've held since October of last year, and I plan to keep it. So anyways, let's get into it. Okay, guys, what I'm looking at is a post that I saw on Moomoo while I was surfing the web today, trying to figure out what finally got Redbox to run. And I came across this. And those of you who are not aware, Redbox had CBOE change the options to closed position only. And the reason they gave for this was that Redbox never should have had options because their float is under 6 million shares. Now you can go back and watch my video where I discuss this because that alone pissed me off, guys. This stock has been manipulated since I started following it in October, and that is what has piqued my interest. And throughout all of this has made me never sell my position that I took back then. Because, guys, I know what's going on here, and they just keep digging themselves a deeper hole. But what's wrong is the fact that, first of all, they were allowed to open option contracts, which, guys, they plan to use to hide the manipulation that they were doing on this stock in them because they did not have enough shares. So they needed to get liquidity to drive this price down even further to try to get people to sell so they could cover. Now, they opened this option chain before, and let me make that perfectly clear, before the deal was announced with Chicken Soup for the Soul. They were not expecting that this deal was going to come to light. They had planned to use this as a tool for them to basically screw retail and drive out liquidity. Then the unexpected happened, guys. And CSSE made the deal for the merger, which was a complete take under, as we know. Well, lo and behold, option chain starts going crazy, guys. We start running up, and during our run to 18, what do? They yank away the options chain. They take it away from retail because they were screwed. Absolutely screwed. And if all those options went in the money at that time, we would have gamma squeeze, guys. So they took away the options chain, drove out as much retail as they possibly could, which you've seen with the price diving recently. Meanwhile, they've been building up their position. I want you to take a look at something. This post that comes from Bubs1617, who I do not know, but thank you, Bubs1617, for bringing this to my attention yet again, because I should have never let this go. But it says, Redbox, they bought 251 $12 calls expiring next week on 8/5/22, guys, as well as some $6 calls expiring next week. Let's go, baby. Yes, market makers and hedge funds still have been trading options every single day. I have been watching it. And guys, I have noticed this too. And I believe that I've actually put out some tweets regarding it. But now that we're running up again, this has spiked my attention yet again. Because when I said it before, I don't think that I got much attention on it. However, this caught my eye and I posted it today, and now all of a sudden we have eyes on it again, guys, and I'm psyched. So Bubs1617, shout out to you. Thank you so much. Guys, what I'm looking at here on this bar chart is showing the options and the fact that it increased 600% today, and that 251 $12 calls were purchased and 11 $6 calls. You and I can't buy options. we're in closed positions only, which, guys, they've decreased the liquidity on so much that they were trading for a penny last I had. I mean, mine are all gone now, but they basically took our options away from us, made them expire worthless. Now the price is getting driven, or is going back up where it should have been all along, guys, because that was nothing but manipulation. If you haven't watched my video that I put out over the weekend on what they did to the price and where I caught them in action and got it on tape, and guys, that wasn't the only one that I have on tape. I have several. They did this for hours until I finally stopped watching because I was so disgusted. But they basically were layering the price down. Literally, you know, when you see those, you know, one share and you're asking yourself, how can the price be driven down by one share? It's because they're layering at it and they're going in with algorithmic trading. And when you watch the video, you'll see 10 to 20 at a time buying to drive the price down continuously, repeatedly till the price drops, guys. It's a scam and they're cheating us, okay? Now they're cheating us again with this option chain. However, I will say this message is very bullish, because don't think they would have bought all these contracts, because the only ones who are able to buy this is market makers, hedge funds, and I've heard some elite hedge funds are allowing their elite customers with big bucks, guys, to trade options. Now, this is something that I've heard. I don't know 100% if it's true, but the person I heard it from is a pretty reliable source, so I'm willing to bet that it still is the case. And that's a problem, because that's not fair, and that's not creating a free and fair marketplace, guys. They have cheated us all along, and they've been doing this not just with Redbox, but I can tell you at least a dozen and probably hundreds of stocks that this has happened to. And if I had time to spend all day, every day researching, I don't even want to know what I would find, because with the little time that I do have and the digging I do, I find quite a bit. So if I can find it, and I'm computer illiterate, you better bet your bottom dollar that the SEC and FINRA and all the people that are supposed to be protecting us, that we're paying taxes to have protect us, because, guys, we pay their salaries, but they're not doing their job, clearly, because this shouldn't be happening. And when they get caught, you guys, I've seen some funny tweets today where you guys are like, oh, well, yeah, they should get fined too. Yeah, they do get fined, guys, but it's a joke. They make billions of dollars and get fined like 10 grand. Whoop-de-frickin-do. That would be like getting a parking ticket or a speeding ticket for a penny. Would you really give a crap if you were going to get caught? No. A penny. Okay, here you go, officer. Have a nice day. That's a cost of doing business for these hedge funds and market makers. They don't care, because there's nobody to enforce it. And when they do get caught, guys, they don't go to jail. They don't have punishment. They get a little, oh, here's $10,000 fine. Here's a $3,000 fine. Give me a freaking break. $10,000 or $3,000. To them, that's a joke. This is absolutely sickening. It makes me ill. All right, guys, let's look at all this time. Meanwhile, while they're screwing us by using dark pool trading and everything else, let's look at the dark pool today, because I think you'll be surprised with what's going on. I think we're in a very good place right now, and their manipulation is going to catch up to them. However, you better believe that the only reason that this is running, in my opinion, is because they finally allowed it to, guys. Fact is fact. I mean, it's taken me several years to realize that a stock's not going to run because it should, based on catalyst, based on anything else, unless they're ready and they want it to run. They've exceeded the move down. Now they're going to maximize on the way back up. That's in my opinion, and I think it's going to continue to run. But let's take a look. Actually, guys, before I move on to the next thing, I want to show you this excellent post that my friend True Demon put out with my tweet from earlier. So as you can see, this is the tweet I put out that I just showed you. And I had said, Redbox saw this on Moomoo. Again, cheaters gonna cheat. How is it they are still buying calls when we can't? $12 calls expiring next week. You know we're about to rock it. True Demon says, at SEC, at SEC.gov, at Gary Gensler, Redbox options were moved to position close only by CBOE and the OCC. We were forced to close our positions for massive losses while hedge funds and market makers continue trading options illegally on Redbox. They have effed us twice now. We have no lawyers. We have no presentation. We have no recourse. We have no options. We have no more patience. Take action before action is taken against you. People are beyond pissed. Our demands: fines, prison, reparation. Anything less is injustice. This is just a demand. This isn't just a demand, it's an ultimatum. Investigate this and fix it now. And guys, I couldn't agree more. This is messed up. You need to realize how severe the fact that they're allowing this to happen on a free and fair, quote unquote, marketplace is. No, it's not free and fair at all. It's made for the rich to get richer while they're stealing from retail. That is not what the stock market was made for, and enough is enough. We have to put an end to this, guys. Before I go into the next thing, I am going to mention to all of you, if you haven't heard yet, if you don't follow me on Twitter, you should, because Wall Street Custodian and I have been planning to put together a peaceful demonstration where we want to march all of the SEC offices throughout the country. We're going to pick a day in October, and we hope as many retail traders as possible, friends, family, whoever you can get to come and join us on this day. And guys, it's going to have to be on a weekday, so prepare to have to take a day off of work for this, because it needs to be done when they're there. We need to get as many people at each of the regional offices. And if there's somebody who can head the main office in Washington, D.C., I have Boston. Wall Street has New York. Aaron mentioned from BBIG that he wants to help us as well. So hopefully he will take a location. But there's several other locations, which I will make a separate video on when we have more details. We would love to get all of you involved, and as many of you as possible. We need somebody to be responsible for each city that there's an SEC location in, because guys, we need to have as many people as possible. We need to make signs. We need to protest peacefully and show them that we're not backing down. Enough's enough. We've had enough. This needs to happen. The more people we get, and if we're like doing this nationwide, guys, and it makes the media on all these channels, you better believe they're not going to be able to continue this BS. And the reason we're waiting till October is because it is too freaking hot right now, and it's hot in October as well. And unfortunately, it is not a good time for us to be marching when it's hot, because people are angry. People are frustrated, and this heat only creates more anger and frustration for people. And guys, this is going to be an all-day thing, where this is a commitment to be there all day. You know, if you can only make it part of a day, great. We appreciate you coming, but we're going to be there all day long taking this on, because we need to be represented, and the only way that there's going to be change is if we stand up. So more on that to come. If you're interested, please hit me up on Twitter. Make sure you tag me so I see it, guys. I get a ton of messages, so I don't always see everyone. If you're not hearing back from me, send me another one. You can put a message in this video, but again, guys, I don't always get to all my messages. My life is hectic, and I do my best to get news out to you and do as much as I can, but I don't always see everything. So if that's the case, I'm not ignoring you. Just keep messaging me. Anyways, getting back to Redbox, let's move on to the dark pool today, because you're going to be quite surprised by the amount of trades in the dark pool. And then I don't know which one I'll do first. I might do, actually, let's take a look at Ortex first. Okay, guys, I'm going to use Greg Antone's Ortex post, so I don't have to dig it out. But Redbox, currently, this is as of this morning, or after, no, it was as of this morning. The short interest was 83.62% of the free float, guys, which is an increase of 0.24%. And as of the time of this posting, the cost to borrow was 410.24% on average, minimum and maximum. At one point today, I did see it as high as over 700%. Again, guys, they have to be running out of shares to borrow, and we will take a look at that information as well. And I also want to compare and see what Fintel is saying. But Also, we are on the threshold list. So that's continued. That hasn't changed, and it's been going on for several months now. Okay, guys, before we begin, there is a question as to what Redbox's true float is. And I'd like to say I know, but it keeps changing. So last check, it was 3.94 million shares. However, I know that 1 million warrants were allowed to be cashed in for shares, which would make it 4.94 million. Now, somewhere in, I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm seeing 10 to 10.58 million, whatever. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Whether it's 5 million, whether it's 10 million, it really doesn't matter in my opinion, because I believe there are so many naked shorts in this play, which can be evidenced by the volume and their infinite liquidity pool that they admit that they freely have. The market makers will tell you this. They can make any liquidity to make the trades happen. I believe that the naked shorting in this stock is so many times over the float based on the volume that it traded today alone that it doesn't matter, guys, whether it's honestly 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million. At this point, it's a number. So, I mean, it is what it is. Clearly, the reality of the situation is the stock's very manipulated, has been since October. They do what they want when they want. There's no one that they have to answer to. So this will continue to happen until things get fixed in our system, which is very, very broken. Because going back to the car analogy, imagine that I had one car to sell, but yet I sold it to 100 different people, but I only had one title, guys. What's going to happen when they come to collect that car? It's not going to be good, is it? I don't know. If I paid for a car and 100 people paid for that same car, and there was only one title, I think there'd be a war. I don't know. I'm not saying start a war. I'm very peaceful. I'm just saying there's a major problem here. So, whatever the float may be, let's assume that it's the 5 million that I believe it is, as far as what we can see for facts. That would mean that if 101.8 million shares were traded today, then 20 times Redbox's float, free float, means the shares that can be traded were actually traded. This is a massive, massive, massive problem, guys. Where are those shares coming from? Because I'm going to tell you, people like me that have been holding this stock for months and months and months, and even people that have rode the squeeze up the first time and didn't get out where they should have and have just sat in it, they're not selling their shares for $5-6, guys. I sure the heck am not. I didn't sell it at 27. I didn't sell it at 18. I know what my share is worth, and it's not going anywhere till I get what I want for my share. Well, for my tons of shares, whatever. I'm just using a share as an example. So, anyways, Redbox had a 101.8 million shares traded today, guys. And the dark pool still accounted for 69% of those trades. So, despite the fact that they continued to short the stock, despite the fact that 69% of the shares were traded in the dark pool, guys, this stock still ran about 100% today, and at max, well over 100%. Might have closed the day like at 90%, whatever the case may be. It had massive, massive, massive volume. And the only way they could accommodate this and all the buying guys were to use naked shares because there are no more shares. Now let's take a look at what Fintel tells us. Okay, guys, according to Fintel, which is clearly wrong because the volume is very off, it's saying that 77.89% is our current short interest, which could be close to correct, and that the off-exchange short volume was 52.41% and only 1.6 million shares. Well, clearly, guys, we know that that's not true, considering that we traded over 100 million shares today, so something's amiss. Something's very much amiss. They probably can't put the real numbers because clearly that would create questions of How can a float that only has, 5 million shares, let's just be generous and say it's the entire float, not the free float, 10 point whatever million shares. How is it that 100 million shares can trade? That's probably why this information is so wrong, right? But who knows? Just so you know, as of 7 hours ago, there were no shares left to borrow, guys. None. So they have no shares left to short at this point. And the last update that we have for interest was 341.34% should shares become available. And guys, that will continue to go up if shares do become available. However, I don't think that they will. So let's sum this up. Clearly, this stock has been manipulated. If you haven't watched my video that I put out on Redbox, it's very important this weekend. It's very important that you do, showing you that the recording that I have of what they were doing to drive the price down. Please watch it, because not just for Redbox, you should be aware of this tactic for other stocks that are also highly manipulated. There are a lot of them. Be aware of their layering and spoofing activities. Currently, guys, we are in a position to rock this. Now, there is no need to fear the date for potential CSSE vote for the merger. Guys, the merger is set to take place whether we want it to or not. It's a technicality at this point. Our vote does not matter. We do not have enough voting shares in the power. But I encourage all of you to vote anyway, so that they are aware that shareholders do not want this take under. Guys, I believe that they wouldn't be in this position if it weren't for the awful situation that the market put them in. I mean, they have a tiny float. They could have done offerings to raise money. However, it's hard to do an offering, guys, when no one wants your stock because Wall Street's manipulated the price down so much. This was trading at under $2 a share when all this got started. This was a SPAC originally. That was $10 a share, guys. And at that time, people were talking about this having a serious competitor to Netflix. And back then, people were valuing this. People that were doing their own DD at around $35 to $50, which is why people did not sell when it got up to 28, including myself, because I initially have this, guys, in my portfolio as a long-term investment, because I did see the potential that, and still do see the potential that Redbox could be a serious competitor to Netflix. Now, guys, there's a couple things about this take under. There's a clause in there that they can get out of this deal for $15 million. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if there is a potential legal action that will take place, then Redbox can also get, well, not they can get out of. Let me pull it up and show you so it'll make more sense, and so I'm not screwing up my words and telling you the wrong thing, because I don't want to mislead anybody. But this is very important, because this is where I think we're starting to see shorts realize that something else is going on here because of the filing, and that they better cover because they can't keep paying this insane cost to borrow. So let's take a look. Okay, guys, so here it is right here. This is the reason that I think they are expecting a lawsuit to be filed and an injunction to be issued, preventing the potentially, should this happen, preventing the completion of the merger. So this is right from page 32 of the last filing from Redbox, guys. It says, litigation relating to the mergers could result in an injunction preventing the completion of the mergers and or substantial costs to CSSE and Redbox. So guys, there are several different things in this filing that if you want to know more about, I have already done a video on it. I am not going to repeat myself in this one. It's going to be long enough without it. Go back and watch my Redbox filing so you can gain confidence and know that you're not going to wake up and have, by investing in Redbox for a potential squeeze, you're not going to wake up and find that you're suddenly owning 0.087 of a share of CSSE for every Redbox share that you own, guys. There has to be more filings, and if you Go and watch that video. I point out several different places in this last filing where there's an indication that they already are being investigated because this take under merger is something that Wall Street has never seen. Literally, this has to be the worst deal that has ever existed as far as it's seriously a take under. It's not an acquisition. It's like an insult, the price that they got, and it's based on their debt, guys. But I don't think Redbox even knows the true value of their company and the true potential, or they've given up, or they just want the buyout and that's it. But as a result, they're not doing a justice to their shareholders. So guys, as it says in this filing, that they suspect lawsuits may be brought against Chicken Soup, Redbox, or their respective directors that could seek an injunction, which means if they get an injunction, they cannot close the deal until the lawsuit is settled. And the lawsuit could say they can't close the deal permanently. Go back, watch that video. They already have set up 3 extension dates, guys, which tells me we just don't know what's really happening yet. And I think that Wall Street's finally catching on. Now, the weekend that this came out, I did a video and spent several hours researching this filing, guys. So please go check out that video if you have questions. You're not going to wake up and lose all your shares. This is an excellent, excellent play in my opinion. Worst case scenario, we have to deal with more warrants potentially being executed. Guys, I think they have to hit $11.50 before we even need to worry about that. But I'm telling you, I don't care if there's millions, well, maybe not millions. Well, yeah, actually millions. I don't care if there's millions of warrants left that they're allowed to release, guys. The amount of naked shorts that I believe in this play exist is so substantial, it's not going to matter one single bit, in my opinion. Now, what I'm saying is pure opinion based on the months I've been studying this stock since October, guys. There's a lot more than meets the eye here. I'm going to tell you that much. All right? Do some DD, gain some confidence, know the value of what you hold. Okay? It's time to screw these shorts. I've had enough. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and have a wonderful evening.